Hi, this is Elaine Page, and I am here to introduce you to the Music 343-344 course guide. This session we will talk about Oxford Music Online, also known as New Grove Dictionary of Music and Musicians. To get to the Music 343-344 course guide, start at the library homepage, which is library.elmhurst.edu. Go to the course guide section in the quick start bar and choose Music 343-344. So anytime you do music research, you should start with Oxford Music Online. It's a major encyclopedia. It took 20 years for it to be updated. Now that it's online, they update certain articles every 6 months, which compared to 20 years is pretty darn frequently. So you'll see it's right here on the Get Started tab of the 343-344 site. So Oxford Music Online, I should note our subscription only allows 8 simultaneous users. If you're asked for a login and password, we've reached the limit. Give it just a few minutes. Usually people don't spend hours in Oxford Music Online, so you just have to come back in a few minutes and a spot should have opened up. So here's Oxford Music Online. You'll log in to Elmhurst University. And once you get there, you'll see that here we are, and the search box is right here. It is all kinds of music. You'll see from the pictures here, we've got classical and jazz and rappers and instruments. And I mean, it really is kind of a treasure trove of information. So when you search for a composer, which is what you'll often be doing if you're researching classical kinds of music. So I'm going to look up a composer. I'm going to look up Dufay. He's one of my favorite medieval composers. So here we are. And you'll see you get a bunch of choices. You'll see there's actually an instrumental ensemble called the Dufay Collective. That's not actually what we're looking for. So I'm going to start scrolling down, and now I see here is who I was looking for. Guillaume Dufay. You'll see there's some different spellings. That does happen a lot with some of the medieval and Renaissance composers. So I'm going to click on this title right here. When I get to an article in Oxford/Grove Music Online, I will see a couple of things. So this was published in 2001, and it was updated in 2004. So you can tell that's there. There's a link here if you needed to come back to this article. This link will work from anywhere. It's got our proxy information included, so you could copy this link and jump back to this article at any time without having to search for it again. Composer articles follow a very similar structure. So they will talk about the composer's life, possibly posthumous reputation, and then they'll start talking about the works. And depending on how many works a composer has, this can be a really long article. For example, if you look at the works of J.S. Bach or Wolfgang Mozart, you'll see this content section just goes on and on and on, because you'll see they break out each type or genre of work. So for Dufay, he doesn't have that many. So we've got chant settings, we've got motets, music for the mass, and then other songs. And then depending on the composer, sometimes there's questionable attribution. So they'll have a separate section on that. So if I jump to the motet section, you'll see it talks about the motets, and it mentions some of them by name. So if you are looking for a particular piece of music, you may find it mentioned in the New Grove article, but don't be disappointed if it's not. They do just mention things that are examples of what they're trying to tell you about. And other things that every article should have, they'll talk about, in this case, sources, like how do we know that this is Dufay's actual music. If there were standardized editions, they'll tell you about that too. But what's especially beneficial about these composer articles in Oxford/Grove Music Online is the works and the bibliography section. So if I go to the works, you'll see if there were a standardized edition of their complete works, it'll mention them here. So this one, actually, there are two. One published from 1955 to 1951 to 1966 with a revision in 1995. And then there's also a different one from 1960. So this would, if you were looking for what might be kind of an obscure work, you could figure out if a library had these complete work sets. Otherwise, then they list out the individual pieces or masses. So here's the mass. And then if I look here, you'll see it gives me some information with the editions. So that tells me it's from these editions. Don't worry if you don't understand this part. If you are looking for a piece and you find it in here, but you can't figure out what that means, that's when you contact your librarian, which is me, at elainep@elmhurst.edu, and I will be happy to help you hunt it down. As long as you find it listed in the works section, we can usually find it. So that's what the works section does. The really important part of the Grove Music Online is the bibliography section. You'll see in this case, somebody already wrote a comprehensive bibliography on Dufay in 1982 with a revision in 1987. So they tell you, go look at that. Otherwise, their bibliography here in Oxford contains only a couple of things up to 1985. And then after that, it's a little more complete. So if you hold your mouse over some of these names, it should tell me what they are. Oh, there we go. So there's a big article about Dufay and music in Renaissance Ferrara. Here's a correspondence of Renaissance musicians. Here's the rise of European music. So you'll see a whole bunch of titles that talk, and they're listed in chronological order from the oldest to the newest. That's sort of unusual for us. Usually we look at the newest things first, but in New Grove, they do it in reverse order. So 1880 is the oldest one we have here. We quickly move into the 1900s, and you'll see here, for space purposes, they abbreviate most journal names. So you'll see if I click on that, this is actually early music. I believe this is Early Music History is the name of this journal. The Journal of Musicology, I think. Yep. And then if you want, you can then click on Find It in Your Library. So I'm going to do that. And it jumps into BlueJ Search. So you'll see that's the article, Vestiges of the Isorhythmic Tradition in Mass and Motet, and it says it's available online. That link is definitely not right. I will have to check on that one because that's not okay. Let's try a different one. Let's try this one. This is what? Let's do Early Music History. Let's try this one. Let's see if that actually works correctly. All right, so it doesn't show me anything available. You'll see it has me sign in to see if there are any request options. You'll say you're an Elmhurst user, and it'll take me right back, and it'll show me if there's any full text available. So this isn't available, but I could request it through Interlibrary Loan. I'm going to try one more time and see if I can get one to actually connect for you, because that's frustrating. Let's see. Let's try this one from the Journal of Musicology. No available services. Wow, I'm really just striking out all over. Can tell I did not plan this ahead of time. If you run into problems like this is when you contact your librarian. So please contact your librarian if you have trouble finding these sources, especially it's a combination of book chapters, books, and articles. So if the Find It in Your Library doesn't work, please contact your librarian. Again, that's me, Elaine P. at elmhurst.edu. That's what I wanted to show you. At the very end, you'll see here, they give you some suggested other things to look at. You'll see actually under the article on motets, there's a whole section on Dufay. So you could find out more if you were looking at a Dufay motet. Not only do we have the article about Dufay, but we have the article about motets that would give you some more information. Finally, a couple important things up here. Up at the top, you can get yourself a PDF of this article if you wanted to save it. So if I do that, I can save that. Maybe. Okay, that's taking way too long. It's a long article, but there we go. So here it is. So now I have, wow, that's 80 pages. But I could save that. I don't recommend printing it, but I could save it so I could refer to it later without having to log back in. So that's a nice benefit. I can also do save. I can, right here, I can cite it. Important. It gives us a couple of options for citing. For music, at least at Elmhurst, we use MLA, the Modern Language Association format. So here is the citation in MLA format. I could just grab that, do Control-C and copy it, and Control-P and V and paste it into a document or an email or something like that. I'm going to warn you about this. The citations aren't always perfect, so be aware that you should check it against a reputable site like the Purdue OWL or against the MLA handbook to make sure it actually follows the current version of the format. But it's close, so it's worth copying it and then just editing that citation. You can also email things to yourself, or you can share it with others. So you have a few options here. Now, if you have any questions about Oxford/Grove Music Online, please contact your librarian, which is again, Elaine at elainep@elmhurst.edu. Thanks for watching.